and welcome to the last episode we're doing on the actual five elements. Today, we have the five elements that we're going to be presenting to you. And this one, the fifth one, the last one we're doing is on water. Now, look at this. Can you see this, everyone? This is a watermelon. We can eat water, we can drink it, we can play in it. There's so much to do with water. And the best part of all is that our co-host Blythe did her dissertation on water. Blythe, come on in and let us know why you chose water.
Oh, thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. Dorit, thank you so much for opening up this magical topic. When we can really understand more about water, it really allows us to understand how magnificent. It's like another layer of magnificence that we're all living in. I decided to write my dissertation on water because just prior to selecting a topic, I had seen do you guys remember What the Bleep? What the Bleep, that movie? It was like 15 years ago. And in that movie, they showed Dr. Masaru Emoto's study on water. And if you're not familiar, it's so remarkable. And everyone listening can Google this. Secret messages in water, and you can see the pictures of what I'm about to talk about. So this Japanese scientist, Dr. Masaru Emoto, decided to cryogenically freeze water crystals and project into them love or hate, gratitude or resentment, different emotions. So he with his consciousness projected emotion into water, and then he saw how the water froze differently based on the energy that he put into it. So he did this with music as well, and we can see the beautiful water crystals from coherent sound compared to the water crystals that were made with very incoherent sound, like some crazy heavy metal stuff that's like and you can see it was literally like brown melted looking water compared to like Mozart or Beethoven that had this very high hertz frequency and coherence to it, and had these beautiful snowflake geometric patterns. Same with love. When you put love into the water crystals, we see beautiful geometry. When we put hate into the water crystals, we see no symmetry. We don't see beauty. We even see different color. So same with I hate you compared to you're beautiful. So when we recognize that our body is mostly water, we can really see how our self-talk affects literally the water of our bodies, and not only our self-talk, but the energy in the environment at all times, the music in the environment, the sound. Like if you're ever in an environment, when there's like really loud music that you don't like, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so like irritating and agitated. What's happening with our cells in those moments? And what's so interesting too to me about that study, we see what happens when you freeze it. So in that moment, but the waters of our bodies are constantly changing by the energy that we're being in, by our self-talk, by our self-identity, by the mood that we choose to embody in any moment. So when I saw, this information in this movie 15 years ago, What the Bleep, I was like, oh, I have to learn about that. I have to study everything that, that Dr. Emoto wrote. And he has written several books. And originally the book, Secret Life of Water, I feel like. And then he also has Secret Life of Plants. Originally that was a self-published book, and it went on to be, an international best-selling book, because wow, the photographs in the book, when we can really see the water is the medium that we can really see how much our emotions and our thoughts affect our body. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to study water.
So Blythe,
Yes.
when Dr. Emoto was in Los Angeles, teaching, I was very privileged to go and study with him because I was a member of a Japanese wellness center.
Lovely.
Which just closed down in LA, unfortunately. And he taught us how to do these experiments, so we saw them for ourselves.
Amazing.
It was phenomenal. So water, everyone recognizes water the minute we see. Most people have a picture of water in their fridge, and it's something that we all need on a regular basis. So he was also featured in the film What the Bleep Do We Know? And I think Pete has seen that, and maybe he'll talk about it later. So, Lisa, I love your background, first of all. You've got water surrounded, you've got all the fruits that really emit a tremendous amount of water behind you.
Yes, I do. It's so beautiful how water is such a part of everything that, I love. Fruit, the ocean, lakes, drinking water. I mean, it's just, and I love what Blythe shared. I did see that movie and I was fascinated by, the way it, the water responded to words. And it just, like she said, it's so deep that, when we have our thoughts, we have to be so mindful of what we say because we are water-based creatures. So we have to hold ourselves with love and connection.
Absolutely. Indeed, we do. And Herb, tell us about your own experiences with water, please.
Well, I'm eating it constantly. It's so important. It's I get through so much water, especially with exercising as well. And to be at my best, I get through quite a lot of it. And if I don't drink enough or eat enough, I can really feel the detriments. And yeah, holds me back in life. And another beautiful thing with water as well, I find it's very healing just to be by water, watching water or listening to water running down, mini waterfalls, just being in the rain. Like today, it was raining, chucking it down outside, and it was beautiful just to be out there and soak up all that rain and having my feet wet on the ground. I literally felt charged up and elevated. That's yeah, it's really, really beautiful.
And I'm thrilled it's raining for you. It's actually my favorite time is when it rains. So I tend to go out in the rain a lot, and I absolutely adore rain, except if I'm traveling on the freeway late at night. But otherwise, I really, really love rain. I think it's magical. I think it brings the magic to life. I think it's extremely soothing, calming, and I find it to be exciting and very stimulating as well, although also restful. And I love rain with trees. I love the combination of rainy days with trees. For some reason, those are the days that get to me. And my favorite thing in the world, most women, they love to buy handbags or jewelry or shoes. Mine is umbrellas. And this is my favorite umbrella because I can look through and still see the rain. It's very transparent. So this is, I used to have so many umbrellas. I actually once was in Milano in Italy, and there was an entire umbrella store that took up the entire block. I almost lived in that store. I walked out with every day, went and I got so many umbrellas that I was a bit scared that when I went home, the actual customs people would stop me and ask me, why do you have so many umbrellas? Are you supposed to be selling them? No, I wasn't. So Pete, come on board and tell us about water. And Pete.
Okay, yeah, you can hear me. Yeah, I remember the What the Bleep Down the Rabbit Hole. It's an amazing documentary. I think it's timeless, really. You can look at it many times. And Dr. Emoto and the images to do with us being whether that's 70 to 90% water, and how it affects us. Yes, so as much as the words, it's generally the charge. I found, the sort of general charge behind the words, and so it's amazing. I mean, it's so cleansing, isn't it? In terms of people have showers to ground. It's another grounding, cleansing method, really. And I mean, in terms of astrology, you got Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. And then especially for men, I recognize that it's quite a challenging sign, especially if they've got their moon in there as well, in terms of the two planets. Because to be a sensitive man, well, so-called more sensitive, empathic in this kind of society, makes it very challenging. So the water element is beautiful. I mean, I did lots of soaking. I used to do Epsom salts, but I've shifted from that, feet soaking. And, people love the baths. I think since the sauna, just the cold showers or the cold plunge. But, in terms of, it's very important because even the environment you're in with more the 5G now and things like that. And in cities where, the natural, let's just say, element or nature's energy is not really getting to us. So that's why it's so good to go by the sea, into the woods and things like that to get that charge, and, hug trees. I don't do it often, but I'm going to do it more. So, but yeah, it's such a fundamental aspect. I was quite shocked that when I came across dry fasting about 8 years ago, and it was just like alien to me. So I experimented in that because, there, as we talk about beliefs a few podcasts ago, there's many beliefs, and there's people who hardly have any water, and some claim they're not even having water. So that's an interesting one. But then, we absorb through our pores. So, and then our bodies are so amazing. So like a computer. So what I recognize, once you start implementing something new and working with it, then the body will shift. So, it's like we just compute another kind of program in. So water's been, it is amazing. The sea, the swimming, it's so refreshing, so cleansing, And the hydration, I did notice a friend of mine, again, about 10 years ago, he said, Pete, you don't really drink much water. But I wasn't doing too much juices at the time, but I was doing smoothies. So I recognized through the smoothies I was doing, maybe 2 liters of smoothies a day, and then quite large salads in the evening. So that was my water. So I didn't make any conscious effort of drinking a glass of water. And that was for a good 10 years on this journey. So that was interesting. So we do absorb it from the fruits, as long as they are very water based, and obviously I was outdoors a lot, so I would imagine I was eating it through my pores.
Yes, and one of the things that I wanted to show you also is that most fruits are water-based, not all of them, but most of them. So even if you actually think, well, watermelon is only available at summertime, I cannot be eating watermelon all the time. But even in the summer, you don't have to eat just watermelon. You can eat other melons as well. So we have all these other melons that you can have that are just scrumptious and delicious and oh so incredibly nutritious. And then we have so many water-laden fruits. Most of the actual savory fruits are laden with water. And so I do not drink usually water. I get my water from the foods that I eat. And coconuts, love coconuts. And of course, if you live near a waterfall like Sabina does, you're getting all of being sprayed with water all the time. Sabina, welcome.
Hello, everyone. And yes, I absolutely love the water. I always feel myself drawn to water, especially there's one, which is interesting. There's a waterfall behind my house where I went today, and it's completely dried out because we had so much sun and hot temperature in the 90s pretty much all August. So the waterfall is gone now, which is just like rocks, but it will come back soon. It will come back in the fall. But I tend to go towards bodies of water, immerse myself in oceans and rivers and lakes. And also I found water very healing, which was actually on my own journey I faced many years ago. I went through a very intense breakup, and I was in really intense heartbreak. And at that time, I lived at a lake. So every time I felt this heart pain, I would go to the lake and I would sit and breathe and just saturate myself with the energy of the water. So every time I would do this, I would feel lighter. I would feel the pain actually releasing from my body. So I find water, not just infusing ourselves with water, bathing in water, drinking water, also being at the water. Water has a soothing quality, healing quality, and all makes sense when we, reflect on this experiment from Dr. Emoto. And also I noticed that in my chart, there's pretty much no water. I'm also pretty much astrology. I'm all fire and air. So that's what naturally always gets me to the earth. Every time I don't feel good, I need to go in the earth and I need to be close to water. And I notice I become more balanced, just more grounded. So yes, water is a big one in my life. And I actually love what I loved when you at the ocean and the sun reflects in the water. I love seeing all these sparkles. It's like diamonds floating in the ocean. That's one of my favorite things, actually gazing at. And also watching the sun go down and then reflecting in it's so beautiful when the sun reflects. And yes, so that's about water. I could go on, but I want to leave it as that.
Well, we want you to go on, so we're going to come back to you later. Thank you so much, Sabina. So we're talking water today because it's one of the 5 elements of the earth. So I've put something here on the screen. Water is universally associated with key aspects of the human experience. For example, emotion and intuition. We're always breathing in water and breathing out water. There are vapors being expelled from us all the time and being taken in if you have plants around, or if you live in a humid space like Florida, you are constantly exposed and breathing in a lot of water. So it's used a lot, water in purification, and as some of you already said, some of the co-hosts have said, for healing. Why? Because water cleanses, water restores, and it refreshes, washing away impurities, both physical and energetic impurities. So if we're looking for transformation and adaptability, it's very important because like water, which takes on many forms, like us, the human beings, which take on many forms, water itself mirrors our spirit, which is called to flow, to adapt, and to embrace transformation. And so our spirits are very much mirror the capacity of water. Now, when we look at life and creation, water is vital to all living beings. And you'll see elephants that they will go so far. Lions will, when there's a drought, will go so far. Lions will move the whole family and go to a whole different place just to find water. Because water symbolizes the essence of life and also the flow of creative energy. And so we really cannot do without it. So I'm going to put up some more photographs of water here. And I'm going to be speaking a bit about some of the things that you've all spoken about before as I bring them up. Now, this is one of my favorite photographs because you see almost all children try to really catch the rain or try to catch water. And I think one of the most beautiful things that we can do is to let children out of the house when it rains and say, go have fun. And even put on music, but I don't like that you put on music, although nowadays, because of all the noise, we might have to. I love the sound of water. And some of you talked about Western astrology and water, the zodiac sign. So in Western astrology, water is one of the 4 fundamental elements. associated with the zodiac sign. So there are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So, Sabine, I presume you're one of those. Each of these water signs uniquely reflects water's emotional, intuitive, and transformative qualities. Yes, emotional. For example, Cancer is linked with nurturing, protection, and home. Cancer embodies water's caring and sentimental side. Water is sentimental. That's why people like me feel so sentimental about water. It's ruled by the moon. Cancer is empathetic and emotionally connected. Now, if you're a Scorpio, symbolizing depth and intensity, Scorpio reflects the mysterious, transformative aspects of water. Known for rebirth and inner power, Scorpio energy guides us to embrace our hidden depths. If you are a Pisces, dreamy and mystical, Pisces channels the boundless, empathetic qualities of water. This sign, Pisces, is deeply connected to intuition, creativity, and spiritual insights, and is very much akin to water in that. So, astrology sees water as the element of feeling and perception. And those born under water signs are often sensitive, compassionate, and profoundly intuitive, embodying the emotional wisdom of this element. So, we talked also about different ways in which we can find water. You can find them in dams. Now, you can also find them as puddles, and we talked about poor Sabine and her dried up waterfall. You can find them in waterfalls. Now, let's look at Hinduism and Ayurveda for a second, because Ayurveda is so big on the five elements. And in Ayurveda and Hinduism, they view sacred water as a divine connection. So in Hinduism, water is revered as sacred and life sustaining. And of course, they're integral to rituals, and they're symbolic of purity and divinity. Rivers, particularly the Ganges River, hold immense spiritual significance, personified as goddesses with the power to heal and cleanse. Now, let's look at some of the rituals of purification in Hindu ceremonies, which involve water, where deities are bathed with water as an act of devotion, and where immersing oneself in sacred rivers such as the Ganges is believed to wash away, or the word I don't like, sins, and renew the soul. So Ayurveda and the water element, in Ayurveda, water is a core aspect of the Kapha dosha, which governs stability and nourishment. Refreshing the grounding energy of water and earth combined, Kapha embodies calm and resilience, but can also become stagnant if unbalanced. Now, I'm going to tell you a story of mine, which has to do actually with the Ganges and this element of water. So when I was in India, I was actually studying with Deepak Chopra, and Deepak Chopra always took all these teachers to India to continue studying. But my mother had just died, so I returned to Israel, and I just didn't want to leave, and I was a mess. I mean, I have never been such a mess in my life. Everything I believed in went out the window. Everything that I thought I knew went out the window. I was just a big bag of mess. And my sister kept insisting, you've got to go to India. You've got to continue the trip to India and your studies there with the Chopra Center. You have to. So I did, and I was a mess. I don't remember anything on the plane. I remember crying all the time, just crying all the time. Every time where I went, it was just crying. I was truly a mess. And then we went to the Ganges in Varanasi. Anybody who's been to Varanasi will know. And somebody said, you've got to do a puja. You have to do a puja for you to really understand the healing power of death. And so we're on the banks of the Ganges, and I met with this Swami. They arranged it for me, the Chopra Center arranged it for me that I would work with him. And he taught me how to make this puja. And then he told me, go down the steps into the Ganges has these steps going down. And he said, I made a boat, and I put all these things in. And I was really emotionally totally devastated. I went into the Ganges. I put the puja, the boat, into the Ganges. And as I watched it float away, I saw my mother, and she was so happy. and she was saying goodbye to me. And then all of a sudden I looked up and I saw this huge light going up, and it was her ascending. And she was so relieved and so thankful that I had released her. Apparently, I was holding her back. So the worst thing that anybody could do is to keep somebody here, not on earth, because they're not on earth anymore, because they're no longer in their bodies, but they cannot go back to the spirit world because of us keeping them back. And I was the catalyst for her not being released. And I was so shocked. But it worked. The puja worked, and the Ganges, being by the Ganges, worked. So water is the most miraculous powers. It is incredible. If you're in mourning, please get into the rain, go out into the water, spend some time in a bathtub if that's all you can do at the time. And wherever there's rain, run to the rain, run for it, and immerse yourself into it. And if you can find a tree while it's raining, go sit under it and ground yourself and just let the rain take the sorrow away. This is something that I really, really, really want to pass on to everybody, because I just was so completely renewed and restored. Blythe, do your children like the rain?
My children love the rain. Yes. And thank you for that beautiful story, Dorit. I have like tears. That was so beautiful. Yes. My children love the rain. When it's raining, it's like, go outside, go outside. You know, we enjoy the rain. We enjoy stomping in the puddles. You know, in Los Angeles, we don't have gutters anywhere because it doesn't rain that much. And so when it does rain, we get these like rivers in the street. You know, that's always fun to stomp on with our rain boots. We love the rain, and we all naturally love to be around crashing water. It's like intuitively we know that that's part of our self-healing design, because water is self-healing, right? As long as it's moving. Stagnant water can create bacteria, and us too. It's like our bodies have to move. So we intuitively, excuse me. So we intuitively know that we need to be around moving water to feel better. And that's like where we get the negative ions, you know, when we're at the shore, when the waves are crashing, or we're in the rain, there's negative ions everywhere and we're breathing it and we just feel so good. Or even in the shower, you know, it's like when you take deep breaths in the shower, the electromagnetism is different when there's rushing, moving water. And there's a level of us that tunes into that. And it's powerful, you know, I mean, water, when you think about water, is 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. And there's, you know, different purities of hydrogen and different purities of oxygen. You know, we can tell sometimes when we're like, when I go up to the Sierras and the oxygen is so pure, I can feel it. Well, there's different levels of water. And so when we're around moving, fresh, running water that's structured, it's like the highest vibrational water. It's when the water's self-healing. And that tunes us into our self-healing nature as well. So it's so natural, isn't it? All of us are just like, we love to stare at water, like what Sabina was saying, when you're looking out at the water and it's all glistening. My grandmother lives on a lake, and she's 95. I think she's gonna be 96 this December. And you know, she just looks at her water, stares and looks at the lake for even a couple hours every day. And I feel like just in looking at the water and just allowing yourself to entangle with the energy of the water just by observation alone, I feel like it just contributes so much to our health. I'm playing water. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned actually the water that's inside of food, because the water that we get outside of food is different. This is structured water.
Yes.
And this is why I'm able to actually go without drinking water, because I eat just fruits. And most of the fruits, even in this winter, you know, it's actually, we have citrus fruits, and I am never dehydrated, and I love pomegranates. And so I just do so much with it, and I don't need to actually do any of that stuff. So when you eat this way, when you eat foods that are mainly structured water, it's interesting. You never feel thirsty ever, never any thirst whatsoever. It's just you're eating water all the time, and you're drinking water without even realize it, because you're eating it as well. So Lisa, tell us about you and your own love of the ocean is so much so that you actually now live right by the ocean.
Oh my God. I never tire of it. You know, I love when it's calm. I love when the waves are crashing. It's funny when I moved here, it at first it was like hard for me to sleep. I think because it has such active energy. And I know people pay to listen to the sound of the ocean to sleep. So it's like, what's the matter with me? But finally, my body started to sync up with it, and it just really, I can't, I can't even begin to describe the experience of being able to watch it every day. I literally every day. I never get tired of it. I've lived here 5 years, and just the dolphins. I've had a couple whales. I've seen the birds. Just in the winter, it's wide open. There's nobody here, and that's actually one of my favorite times to be here. The summer with the kids playing. It's just it it truly is transformative, and I never tire of watching people go to the ocean, because just seeing them and their joy, it's really rare to see somebody that's not happy here, because I think nature just reminds you that this is who we are. We're comprised of water. I go back to Bruce Lee's quote, "Be like water." If you think about it, water is a container, right? It can adapt to any circumstance, and yet over time it can carve out a rock or a stone. So it's deeply powerful and also fluid at the same time, just like we are.
Yeah, yes, agreed. Thank you, Lisa. And I want to actually look at the Native Americans as well, and some of the things that we can learn from them when it comes to water. So, Native Americans actually have, it's very interesting, their own way of looking at these earth-based traditions of water as a living spirit. It's so indigenous and earth-based traditions like these. Water is viewed as a living, conscious force that must, and I mean must, be honored and respected. Very different from the way we treat water, because we muddy and dirty our water all the time. So these indigenous traditions recognize water as a life-giving entity with a natural spirit and intelligence of its own. Look at this photo. You can actually see it in there. You can see the life force of Mother Earth in there. So for many Native American cultures, water is regarded as the life blood of Mother Earth. And so they have rituals and ceremonies and give thanks to water, acknowledging its crucial role in sustaining all of life. Of course, they also, like the rest of us, see water as healing and cleansing. And to them, water is central to purification rituals such as sweat lodges. I'm sure that's Pete will probably say something about that. Where in these sweat lodges, water is poured over hot stones to create steam that purifies and detoxifies. And this ceremony is both a physical and emotional cleansing ceremony. So Native Americans also think of the water as being their guardian spirits. Bodies of water are often seen as protective and guiding forces, holding ancestral wisdom in it. So springs, rivers, and lakes are sacred spaces for prayer, reflection, and connection with ancestors. And for earth-based spiritual practitioners, water is a revered elder. In Native American tradition, it's an elder, it's a revered elder embodying wisdom, strength, and the power to heal, which of course is why Native Americans do not like when dams are built at all. And they will often get really upset with the governments when they build dams. So, Herb, you understand the power of structured water like this. Talk to us about this.
Yes, I've mentioned it before. I always say eat your water, because it really makes such a huge difference to your body, to the way you feel. It's what true hydration is. Many of us are told to drink 8 glasses of water a day, which is great, but it doesn't compare to actually eating the water. Like you mentioned, it's a structured water. And it always comes down to food as well. When we eat like cooked food, dense food, it makes us very dehydrated. And when we eat, plenty of watermelon, I'll get through so many watermelon. It's amazing to see you sharing all this love of fruit, because it resonates strongly with me. The importance of it is not only just tastes nice and it's wonderful, but you're actually getting that real proper hydration. And yeah, just to touch on what you shared as well, this is such a beautiful topic, and everyone shares just shows like the magic and beauty of water. Your story was about your mother was very heartfelt and touching and beautiful, and it brings me to say, like, tears tears are cleansing, allowing ourselves to cry, shed a tear. Whenever I'm a Cancerian as well, so I'm very sensitive as well, which is interesting. When I've noticed, when I've released emotions and just allow myself to cry, let tears run down myself, I found that in itself very cleansing. It's a release. You're not repressing yourself anymore. So yeah, that's something I just wanted to add on with water as well. And what else I really love as well, that I find beautiful, is when it's raining, you see the puddles going to the beauty and magic. It looks like there's fairies dancing in the puddles. I don't know if anyone has noticed that, the little splashes coming up from the puddles. It's truly magical. And yeah, just hearing everyone is just really like emphasizing the importance and sacredness of water, and this is really going a long way for me and for many others that are tuning in, listening and watching. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you also, Herb and Pete. Come on in.
Whoops.
Have you ever had the experience of being in a sweat lodge, or would you call your sauna work?
It's, you know what, I've never actually done a sweat lodge per se. However, someone could say, well, I don't really know until I've done one, but I've done 15 years of different types of saunas, so I use a different technique really. And so yeah, we have stones and we put water on it as well. So to me, if we relate to our body as the earth, and when you mention the native Indian Indian culture, in terms of they get really upset when there's governments or whoever has put in dams. You think of that to our body in terms of a meridian lines and on a cellular memory. So we have them dams. So this is what I find from structured water. Also they class it as distilled, the fruits. So, and was it Iris Latham, who says, "Oh, I've not drunk water for 40 years. I drink the coconuts and the melons." So, and that's his water. And to be honest, it's the safest water, I would agree with. So when you think of the energy memory, recently or every summer, there's so much abundance here in England. We've got the plums in the garden. We have the fruits, plums, figs, apples. So I really do, when they are really ripe, ready, you become close to one. If the more cleaner you are, some people could see that as a bit far-fetched, but you really become more at one. You think the whole process of the apple, the tree, the water, the sun, all what it's absorbed, then you are absorbing that. So yeah, the hydration as well. Unfortunately, most things people eat are on the acidic. When I started this journey, looking at an acidic chart and a alkaline chart, really recommend people to look at that. I was eating like 90% or 95% acidic, and it's it's horrific when you look at that chart. So, and then that's no wonder why a lot of us I'm going to say in the state we are, and very dammed up, constipated. So yeah, it's been amazing for me. So for me, without even knowing, it's like me doing a mini sweat lodge every rising, and I make sure there is a technique as well. You know, there's no point in going in there and it's just like your house with the central heating. You know, and obviously, if I take people through the process, I aspire to see where they're at and monitor to see what they can manage. So the hot and cold is a very extreme, you could say extreme. However, most people's life, what they do daily is extreme. You know, I would say what mine is more normal. And I would say we're in extreme times, you know, so to have that flow and closer to the divine, or allowing spirit, not our identity, ego, and construct run the show. There's a lot of work to work becomes joy, to implement in our life to be more connected to, I would say, a more authentic self. It's really interesting what you said about Varanasi. I was there 32 years ago, and that was epic for me too. You know, what I realized as well, I do see in relation to the masses having the belief and the power of us doing that ritual. I'm going to relate to Varanasi and you know, what you did as well. I've done a few of them as well. And in terms of marriage, you know, so they're very, it's like it's laid out for you. So it really reinforces that to happen. So it's a beautiful thing. And when you mentioned about what you realize, we are very selfish when other people die. You know, you can really recognize our selfishness, because ultimately it's just about your feelings. It's about my feelings. You know, it's not to say not to disregard them. Yeah, go through it, but have an awareness that actually, you know, it's an opportunity to release. It is all about you. However, it's all your inner reflection, projection in a universe. Whoops.
Okay, so we've just lost you, but you're back.
I am back. So it's just once we recognize it from that perspective, you know, there's nothing wrong with crying, laughing, shouting to a degree. You know, it's a release. You know, I think eventually once you're put yourself more in line and more in them environments, hydration, eating clean food, electric food, grounding in the woods, doing certain protocols which become a norm, then there is much more harmony, much more balance. So there's not as much turmoil, and then you recognize what is taking you away, because you really come home. It's like the Bruce Lee is beautiful. You know, obviously he was onto something. I mean, amazing person. And yeah, be like water. It's just an amazing saying. So yeah, I mean, water is amazing. I mean, being that we are part of it, and obviously full moons, we are affected by the full moon, basically, because we do resonate with water. So we're very receptive. So it's good to have, I would say, good structured water in us. So, you know, we can, I would say, I'm going to say, come alive. You know, all the living foods bring, it's a kind of no-brainer, really. You know, death begets death, life begets life, you know.
Wonderful. Now, you were talking about water being a healing source. What about this? Cold water plunges.
Yes, I mean, your body contracts. So, you know, and then when you're going straight into hot, or if you wasn't going into the sauna, obviously cardiovascular workout to get the inner core warmed up. So what I recognize, I've had different people come and do the protocol with me, and it, you know, not so official. and they could not believe what they were unraveling. So, you know, I on a level, and over the years, I can witness this sort of dream state. It's a bit like you mentioned you saw your mum go and up into a big lovely light going up. So I get to see a lot of that often, really. It's like when I pick up the phone, forced to pick up the phone to look. But so what I recognize, I'm just seeing like you a movie of bits of my life coming up, you know, and it's just like out of the blue, and poof, and then, you know, and I have, you know, certain techniques to breathe, and you just let them go. So the whole contraction, and then the real hot, it's like you're going to places that are so would not get so difficult to wake up, you know, so difficult, hence the tumors, the seizures. So, you know, there's different things people say, you know, some detrimental. I mean, of course, you got to be cautious and see where the person is at. Any person is quite toxic. Any protocol is wise to go slow. But the depth, I realize, it's like a reset every time. So we don't realize how much, just even if I was just to sit and not even go out, you know, you're in the house and still there's things in the material, you're still picking up on, you know, frequencies from other people and neighbors, and then, like I say, with the mobile phones. So when you drop in at night, you can literally see, like, the whole idea of a let's just say computer shield. You know, we really need our shields, but if you didn't have your shield, you go on your computer and it's like thousands of cookies. And that's what I realized, what we attach when we go out, because of our program. You know, if we get to kind of more of a 0 point, but we go out, we see colors, you know, all these are programmed into us. We see this woman, this man, this person, this child. So they're all registering somewhere on a subconscious, you know. And if we aren't connected, we clog up, and then the computer crashes, our body crashes. So all the food is a massive thing. Food and the protocols, you know. Hence, anyway, yeah, this festival we're doing, event, I should say, is about giving people tools and bringing some nurturing and some amazing people there sharing, like here, sharing these beautiful tools and ways, and people who have embodied the journey quite well.
So what Pete was just talking about was the Ethiopian New Year, the Simply Rogers gathering from the 11th to the 14th of September. I presume it's going to be somewhere near Glastonbury. I'm not sure. Is that correct or not?
Yes, we're yes, it's on the grounds of Avalon Priory. So there's a cottage next door. So it's on the grounds. So it's on a very special ley line. There's a lot of you know, I don't want to put too much emphasis on that, more on the emphasis of what we're bringing, to be honest, you know, and it is the element of who is coming, what we're bringing. And we all read, you know, I send out a kind of an ethos, and they sort of really aspire to the ethos. So we've got people who really are in line with an ethos, and, you know, really doing good work, really want to change themselves on a journey, and really inspired to, you know, find out more truth and share truth of their story, you know.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. We are going to go back to water now and actually look at the element of water again from a whole different perspective. But before we go, just look at the screen. You'll see that the Simply Rogers gathering is 11th to the 14th of September. And I think that's the actual Ethiopian New Year. Right after that, we have the Jewish New Year. We're going to have a lot of ancient New Years coming up in September. So thank you for that, Pete. And let's go back to the element of water and look at different ways in which some people actually look at water, celebrate water, and how all the different ways in which water serves us. Now, I just love this photograph. And this reminds me of what Sabina was saying when she was looking at the lake when she was in Europe, and how she just wanted to stay there. So I'm going to talk about water in as a symbol of renewal, and I think that's maybe what you were feeling, Sabina. So I'm going to look at the Christianity and the Abrahamic traditions, such as Judaism and Christianity, with water as a symbol of renewal. So in Christianity, water is symbolic of purification, rebirth, and even divine grace too. It's a central part of sacred rituals, particularly in baptism, where it represents spiritual cleansing and renewal. And the significance of a baptism is that water in baptism signifies rebirth, washing away of things we no longer wish in our lives. It's called sins. I don't believe in the word sins. And also marking a person's re-entry into the faith. Now, regarding water being used in miracles and metaphors, we have stories of Jesus walking on water and turning water into wine, which symbolize his divine power and authority over creation, as well as transformation and spiritual insight. We also hear in Catholicism about holy water. So many Christian practices use holy water for blessings, protection, and healing, reinforcing water's sacred and cleansing properties. And water in Christianity is a symbol of purity, rebirth, and divine connection, uniting physical and spiritual realms. Now, we also have water being used in meditation and other spiritual practices across many different traditions, by the way. So water serves as a powerful meditative tool, providing calm, clarity, and spiritual insight. And I think this, you, Sabina, would really recognize this because of the time that you spent by that lake just a few months ago. So there's something called flow meditation, where you focus on the sound of flowing water or the sight of a gentle stream, which can induce a meditative state, helping practitioners to clear their minds and embrace stillness. And then there's something that I love to do when I go on my silent retreats up in Canada, just outside of Montreal, Quebec. We have a lake there, and I do what's called water gazing, which is gazing into water like a lake or river, which can be deep and very deeply reflective practice, which I lose myself in it. And what I love about water gazing is that thoughts naturally come and go, much like the flow of water, which is what really fosters inner peace. Then there are the healing baths. Most women know of this when you talk to women about self-care. And I'm going to ask actually Blythe and also Lisa if they partake in healing baths. And then we're going to also give that over to the men as well, and then to Sabina. So these are baths infused with salt, herbs, or flowers, which are used for cleansing, healing, or manifesting intentions. So bathing in water with a focused intention is believed to cleanse both the physical and the energetic body, which is really critical. So all of these practices allow individuals to harness water's tranquil, cleansing energy, creating a space for emotional healing and, as far as I'm concerned, connection with self. So let's look at Blythe, and I'm going to bring you on, Blythe. And do you do these baths?
Oh, absolutely. A bath is my sacred self-care time for sure. You got to love a bath. Absolutely. And I have several videos teaching people how to do bath teas because I love to dig a big pot of water, gather some rosemary outside. Or what else do I love? I love lemongrass for a bath tea. Rosemary is really good because it's very anti-inflammatory, but you make a big, big batch of really dense, dark tea and then dump it in your bath. I had a bath today prior to this podcast, and it's so interesting. So I was in a hot bath and I'm like, why am I in a hot bath right now? It's hot outside. So I turned on the cold, and the exhilaration of the cold water when you're like in the tub that's hot and then you're putting in the cold water, that alone is something to really tune into, right? It's like, how is my body getting this like cold water exhilaration. You know, I mean, I know that's part of what's happening there in the cold plunges. Although I really can't even take a cold plunge. I'm like in and out. Like I can't like sit there for so long. It's too much. I can't handle too much exhilaration. But I love that, right? And even in that bath, noticing how the cold water and the warm water don't necessarily just come together right away. Like there's pockets of hot and pockets of cold. And that's so interesting to observe, like water maintaining its individuality and then sort of coming together. And it takes time. It's not instantaneous. But yeah, I mean, to sit in a tub and listen to the Genius Wave, which I love to listen to, or just like theta brainwave stuff, or even just the stillness and the silence, or the water running itself, having the water just on for a trickle. It is transformative, isn't it? I mean, I love this conversation because I love the opportunity for everyone to just be like, yeah, this is part of being human. We just love water. We all just need to be around water. There was one other quick thing I wanted to say. You know, the hydrological system in Earth, how all the, you know, the water is in the earth, in the water table, and the roots are drinking up from the water table. The realization of that, how there's water moving that we don't see, you know, it's just all happening below the ground and all the trees. It just is so healing to me to realize it's like really this Earth Mother is giving us what we need all the time. It's already there. It's all beneath our feet and all around us.
Splendiferous. Love it. Love it. Hey, Lisa.
Goodness, she made me want to just jump in a bath with a Genius Wave and the beautiful elixirs. I love baths. I do not have a bath here, which is hard for me because years ago I had a claw bathtub that I just loved. But in LA, if you live in Los Angeles, there's two places where you can take a glorious bath. One is downtown at Cocoon, which is oxygen baths, which are incredibly healing. And then also in Santa Monica, they have a spa that has crystal baths, which are like amethyst, and they have different properties. And both are my favorite places to go when I really want to soak in a good bath.
I am blown away. You and Blythe and I have to take a trip to the crystal bath and the oxygen bath. We only have half a minute left for each person, and herb bath.
Oh, I really want a bath, a tea bath, especially when Blythe mentioned rosemary. I'm thinking like lavender as well. It's so potent and therapeutic in itself, and to submerge yourself in that would be wonderful. I actually had a plain bath earlier today when I got back from my run. It's just nice to soak in, even though it's like warm outside. And I really, really do value and appreciate love a hot bath in the middle of winter. And I like to combine that drinking an ice cream smoothie. It's very, very nice. The combination is wonderful. You're getting cooled down from the smoothie and heated up from the bath. It's truly wonderful. So, yeah, I'd love to come along to have a crystal bath as well. That'd be something quite special.
Maybe what we will bring everybody to LA at some point, and we will
Yeah.
have a big festival here, and that will be part of it as well. So I want to just remind everyone, just one caution, everyone, regarding the rosemary bath. Perfect, it's gorgeous. But if you're pregnant, do not do them, because rosemary can induce early pregnancy, early birth, early labor. So Sabina, baths.
So I don't take baths very often, mainly because I have always a busy schedule, but I do take them sometimes in the winter when I actually love it when it's really cold, then immerse myself in a hot bath. And also, like Herb mentioned, like lavender oil. I love the smell of lavender. And I do them occasionally when I have, for example, I strain myself and I work out too intense and I feel some pain in my or like sore muscles. Then I love to soak in baths, and I always find it very, very healing. I've noticed the difference.
Thank you, Sabina. We're finished, everyone. Sorry for this. It's been a rush to get out, and see you all next week when we start with healing stories.